Welcome to Restore 2023. Today we start the book of Proverbs. This book deals with the question of how we can live wisely in our world and what that looks like in practice. Proverbs is much more than a collection of pithy sayings. It picks up on the key biblical narrative of humanity's choice to trust in the wisdom of God or to try and work it out on their own. In Eden, Eve and then Adam eat from the tree of knowledge of good and bad, grasping at wisdom for themselves rather than relying on God to reveal it. Throughout Israel's story, we see that people did what was right in their own eyes. Proverbs is not a book of commands or promises, but it seeks to draw our attention to the choices we make and the consequences that will likely follow. The book is a collection of wisdom from a number of figures, starting, as we are told, in verse 1 with Solomon. We've encountered his story already in Kings and Chronicles. Solomon was the son of King David and Bathsheba, and he would have seen firsthand the importance of making wise, godly choices, as his family made decisions, both good and bad, that resulted in blessing or in calamity. And Solomon was chosen by God to be king after David. When David was told by God that Solomon would be the one to build the temple, not himself, he offered his advice to his son. He said, "And may the Lord give you wisdom and understanding, that you may obey the law of the Lord your God as you rule over Israel. For you will be successful if you carefully obey the decrees and regulations that the Lord gave to Israel through Moses. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or lose heart." And we see that Solomon has grasped this when God tells him to ask for anything he wants and it will be granted. And the answer that Solomon gives is in 2 Chronicles chapter 1. In verse 10, Solomon says, "Give me the wisdom and knowledge to lead your people properly, for who could possibly govern this great people of yours?" And God grants Solomon's request, and he goes on to become renowned for his wisdom, some of which is collected here in the book of Proverbs. And the purpose of the book is found in chapter 1, verses 2 to 7. There are a number of words here used to flesh out the theme of wisdom. We're told the Proverbs will bring wisdom, insight, knowledge, discernment and guidance. However wise we are now, there is still more we can learn. Solomon is quick to emphasise in verse 7, though, that the starting point for true knowledge and wisdom is fear of the Lord, a reverence for who God is. We're not seeking to become wise in our own eyes, like Israel were, but to rely on God to reveal how we can live his way. Throughout these opening chapters, there are a number of recurring themes and images. Solomon repeatedly addresses "my son" and implores him to listen to his parents' correction and advice. As king, he obviously wanted his son who would follow him to also follow and seek God's wisdom. And he's addressing his son in this way, and also addressing the whole line of kings who will follow him, the line of David, imploring them to listen and bear in mind the wisdom of following the Lord's way and having that fear of the Lord to find true knowledge and true wisdom. The language of paths is often also used to illustrate the choice between the way of the wise and the way of fools. We can choose to let God show us the right way, or to allow ourselves to be led astray down the wrong path. It can also be easy to think that small decisions don't really matter, but the choices we make lead us down a path to a destination. Making wise choices leads to peace, satisfaction and blessing, but foolish choices will bring calamity, disaster and even death. And Proverbs doesn't shy away from the fact that even the smallest decision will put our feet on one or other of those paths. Finally, we see in Proverbs that wisdom is personified as a woman calling out in the streets for people to come and learn from her the way to live. This is contrasted in some places with another woman, Folly, who also calls out. She's full of promises to satisfy us with good things, but if we follow her, we find that these promises are actually hollow and they only lead to the grave. This reminds us that the world is full of things clamouring for our attention, promising satisfaction and long life. Who will we listen to? Will we seek to find wisdom on our own, or will we turn in reverence to God and ask Him to reveal how we can live wisely and well?